This is Patrick McCarthy reporting from Lee Square in the beautiful Port Coquitlam. Today we have Ryan Clark from the PoCo Sport Alliance, or PoCo Sport. And Ryan, welcome to our studio and our show.
Thank you, Patrick.
And just for those of us who don't know about PoCo Sport, can you just give us an overview of what that is and then what you do for the Tri-Cities, or I guess the city of PoCo?
Yeah, City of PoCo, we're home team. Sir, back in 2010, city council members, staff, school district, and club all got together and said, you know, we need a door to knock on for sport. There was a lot of doors to knock on if you want recreation, but we needed a door to knock on for sport. You had a lot of clubs, especially coming out of the Olympics. There was this desire to capture sport and to support what was going on. And there's desire to be one of the best sport communities. And so they started forming out, call it a giant support group that would support and create this community and bind this community together. And that's when they developed a whole look that became the Port Coquitlam Sports Alliance. So they asked me to come in and help them build one of the best sport cultures in BC, which is a long-term project. It's not something you can do in a year or two, but it's something that we've moved very quickly through, and it's evolving very nicely with some of the events and some of the things that were happening, and it's exciting to be part of it, where you help to build a sport community, and it's exciting that way. And I serve as the executive director with a great board behind me, all with backing from the city, school district, and all the sports clubs, which is unique for the whole country. This doesn't exist in other areas of the country. This is a unique, and I think we're going to be the best practice that'll be eventually, once we get the whole playbook designed, that'll be out there for the whole country to see.
And for this role, it's really something that they went out and recruited somebody with that skill set. This wasn't just a volunteer position. This is
I got fortunate. Yeah, I got fortunate. I was being recruited for another position. I actually had already pretty much accepted another position. The same person who's recruiting me came in and said, "Have a look at this." And you know, when you think about your life and what you do, and you try to think of unique things. And I thought, what a unique opportunity to do something that's not being done anywhere else and come in and work hands-on with mayor, council, school districts, and all these clubs. It really gives you a good sense of everything. I'd worked in high-performance sports and elite sports for a long time, and I wanted to come back and see this other side and help ground that, because that's really exciting. It doesn't matter whether you're an elite athlete or the bronze level, it's all exciting. And I just thought this is too good an opportunity to pass up from a developmental side and to be part of this. So I said, I'm in, I'm all in.
And on a professional level, you were a professional athlete in tennis. So is
many moons ago.
Yeah, and I don't play tennis, so you'd beat me for sure. But so is that really sort of bridging that professional element that you have experience with into a recreational sport where some of those players are going to move on to a professional level?
And I don't think it's sport specific in the sense that it just by playing at elite, at least I understand the pathway to get there. So if an athlete does come, if we see athletes here, whether it's lacrosse or soccer or track and field or anything else, I can at least relate to them and their families and say, this is the pathway and this is the mindset and these are the things you need in place to get up to those international levels. So when we do have those athletes who want to move on, so whether that be at a top Canadian university or big NCAA university down in the US and then on to professional, I at least feel very comfortable guiding them and that family through that process if need be. And I think that maybe that's where my experience can help them out.
And then I guess in Port Coquitlam there's some athletes that we're seeing that in local magazines and newspapers, but for yourself you deal with all of them. So
all of them.
So can you give us an idea of some of the athletes that are really coming up in our city?
Well, we've got, on the female track and field side, we have 2 javelin throwers who are the best in the country for call it the under 20 age group. One's down at the University of Arizona and we have another one at the University of Nebraska who are both top NCAA Division I athletes right after their first year. They're already in the top rankings. I've seen them. One went to Riverside and one went to Archbishop Carney. On lacrosse side, I see that we're a hub for lacrosse. We have athletes here, young athletes being recruited to all the big university programs. On the girls side, I know right now we have a team that's won 4 provincial championships straight on lacrosse. And we have Dan Stroop, who's a local guy who's in the Lacrosse Hall of Fame, who coaches them. We've got so many resources, I think, for a sport like that. And it's only getting better with all this stuff. When you hear of a new recreation complex, which is coming down the pike, you've seen a new professional bike race here. The interest in sport keeps growing. I think that's going to really bind and get everybody excited. We've had good traditions in basketball. We've had good traditions in high school football. So you can see there's a whole bunch of opportunities for people to get involved here.
So the new rec center in Port Coquitlam, how important do you think that is to taking sport in this city to another level?
I think it's big because for the young kids, it gets them involved in movement and physical activity early, because that's going to be such a drawing place. With being so close to the downtown area, they'll be able to come down into a hub. And that's what's important. You create hubs, and they'll come down into these hubs and get physically active at an early age and see and visualize other things going on. And that's going to lead them into other sports, into the club sports. And we have so many great clubs locally, that'll lead them in. So it's a great catalyst for that.
And a couple main events. I mean, I was walking at Coquitlam Town Center, and it was the World Lacrosse was on there, and I walked around and thought, there's a lot of big events happening for junior sports in this area. So how do you think people should connect to those kind of events and become more aware of them? Is that through your website, or?
Yeah, you can always go to, for Port Coquitlam, you can always go to PoCoSport.com, just as it sounds, PoCo Sport.com. We'll list off stuff. We have our Facebook too. That's always a great way to follow us. Follow us on our Facebook page. We're always listing what's going on, whether it's tryouts for teams, registrations, local athletes who have done well. We're always putting that out there, or calls for volunteers to get involved with local sport. You can get involved with playing, just coming down, watching great free entertainment at any of the public facilities, or volunteering, getting involved with one of the local clubs, volunteering at any of the major events that come along. There's so many different ways to engage, which can be a really fun experience and a great social platform as well.
So a great place if you want to learn where to volunteer, where to play, or where to go and see some great sport. But how, as an advocate, how is your group working with the city to kind of champion sports needs within Port Coquitlam?
Well, we're always in contact with council and staff too, and we're fortunate. We have I really have to say, and this was one of the things that drew me here, you have such a cooperative staff and council. They really believe in sport as a community builder, not just sport for sport's sake and for competition's sake. They see it as something that will will do two things: recruit and retain people in the community. When people feel that they have good activities, clubs to be part of, they don't have to drive 5-10 miles down to a different catchment area. They can be part of a quality experience here that not only gets them physically active but socially active as well. They support all that stuff. So we work closely with them, but then also the school district as well, which is really nice because we have a line right into the superintendent and those. On our board, we have the associate superintendent sitting on our board. We have a representative from the city sitting on our board of directors. So we're really well dialed in.
And for those of us who may not have realized they've, I guess, been touched by your influences, the PoCo Grand Prix is one of the big events for PoCo this year. And, and there's a story about how that kind of came to the city.
Well, I think, Patrick, it puts the city on the map, on the pro sport map. Like, that's a professional event. World-ranked cyclists come here to compete, and that's only going to grow. And it's exciting when you see that. I was lucky about a year or so ago. I was looking around for events to bring to the city that can just kind of fit in, and happened to have a connection through that was tied in with these events with BC Super Week Racing, and we went out and sat out, and we had a feeling we could go and grab one of these events and bring it to the city. And I remember having a chat with them over a couple coffees and talking to them, and called the mayor on the cell phone, and then called the head of the city too, and said, "What do you think?" And they said, "Go get some more information." And then we brought it back to them, and then they ran with it. And then mayor championed it, and city and our city staff helped champion it as well, and they did a great job. They took it and ran with it from there, and they did such a great job. And I know what we heard right off the bat, once we finished it, the next day you've got the head of Canada Cycling saying this is one of the greatest events that we have on our Super Week circuit right out of the gate. And that just shows how well that council and city staff got behind it, which was really exciting. Like, year one, boom, we're already one of the best ones, and that can only get better, which is great.
And one of the things, when we saw the event, it was very focused on the youth as well. There was a big youth bike race. It really kind of, even though it was Friday, it was a great turnout, and it seemed to cover all ages within the city. So
200 kids for a bike race, right out, like, first year. I mean, I would have thought, even just, and I'm usually pretty optimistic. I thought, 50, 75 kids may show up. 200 kids, you only think that next year that's going to expand because they're going to tell their friends and they tell their friends, and that's going to expand. You almost have to have 2 or 3 kids races. But that's good, and we have such good, with Westwood and Caps Cycle close by and Norco close by, and you've got all these, it almost seems we're a natural biking hub, or a natural cycling town. And today even there's a cyclocross race going on here at Castle Park. We're well situated for that sport specifically.
So, and last question, so if you're a club that wants to sort of reach out and see how you can help them,
just go to PoCoSport.com, we contact us right there, boom, we'll get right back to you.
Okay, Ryan, thank you very much for coming.
Patrick, thanks very much. Absolutely, my pleasure.
This is Patrick McCarthy reporting for Tri-Cities Community Television. This is Ryan Clark of the PoCo Sport. Thank you very much.